Right, right.
Center, center, no.
Hrithik Tamanna, thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
We have Nazni Bonyabi, who plays the Bronwyn. We have Maxim Baldry, who plays the Mark Kavanaugh, who plays Eleanor North.
Mr. Payne, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited and delighted that you are here.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be in India, and I think I had a very warm welcome. I had a few minutes to wander the streets, and like 2 minutes after I got out of my car, a holy man walked up to me and put a dot on my forehead and tied a bracelet around me and gave me a blessing. So, I instantly felt blessed and welcomed in your country. So thank you.
That says that all is going to be a huge success now. That's how it works. Well, this is such an incredible, aspiring piece of work. I just saw the trailer and I'm completely blown. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you, thank you.
Tell me, what was your...
Peter Jackson films. So the first one I was in my early 20s, and they were one of the few films that came out when I was an adult that got into my heart the way that films used to when I was a kid. And from there I did the deep dive and read all the books and got super into it. And now they've woven themselves into the fabric of my life. Very rare does a day go by that I don't reference something happening in my life by way of Lord of the Rings, saying I feel like Frodo carrying the ring today, or when weddings or funerals come along, Tolkien quotes always make their way into my toasts or eulogies, so Tolkien is just part of my soul.
I can see the
Well, so we knew we had to get this right. The story we're telling is an amazing story. It's Tolkien's untold story of the Second Age. So we're telling the story of the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of Numenor, and finally the last alliance of elves and men. And so to be able to bring that really to life, we knew we needed a cast that was really special. And so we had really two criteria for our cast. And one, they had to be amazing performers, but two, they had to have Middle-earth in them. You had to look in their eyes and feel like they could have stepped out a magical portal and been from Middle-earth transported to our world. And so we auditioned hundreds and hundreds of people for every single role and found 22 needles in 22 haystacks.
That's incredible. How long was the process?
Quite a long time. I mean, it took basically a year to find our entire cast.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Is this the first time that you're working with Amazon Studios?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Amazing. So Amazon decided that they wanted to put on this enormous adaptation of Tolkien, and they had a huge ambition, and our ambition matched their appetite for what they wanted to do. They went out and got the rights to it, and then they basically said it's a wide open field, and so they opened it up to Hollywood and say, like, who has an idea for how they'd like to take this material and tell the story? My partner and I came in and pitched a way in, and they got excited about it, and since then they have been incredibly supportive. They've given every resource necessary to realize Tolkien's imagination on the grandest scale possible.
Wow, that's incredible.
They're amazing. We've been very, very, very fortunate.
I'm so glad you had a great experience.
I mean, it was a fantastic experience. And I've worked with every studio in town in Hollywood, and Amazon has been amazingly supportive.
I have one last question. How many days did it take you to shoot?
Oh gosh, so we had COVID that was in the middle of it, so we shot 20 some days, and then COVID interrupted us, and we were on a hiatus for about 6 months, and then so I mean, it depends on how you count first unit days, second unit days, stunt days, VFX days, but something like 300-ish.
So, yeah,
300-ish, yeah.
Guys, can you imagine my state as to how badly I'm fangirling right now? Like, J.D. Payne.
Dreamed of coming to India my entire life. I've admired this entire country from afar, and had Indian friends since I was a young boy. My first Indian friend was Adi Patia, that I used to play soccer and football with when we were 10 years old, and then I've had new friends ever since, and so it's beautiful to finally come to this wonderful, wonderful place.
I'm so glad you feel that way. Now I'm going to dare and ask you this question. You are an epic storyteller. Star Trek, guys. There's nobody who hasn't seen it. It's not possible. So, I mean, this is something that's a familiar ground for you in terms of scale and storytelling. But was it daunting for you to attempt material that has fan following, which is so widespread, and for them this material is so sacred? Also, was it any kind of pressure while you were attempting Tolkien's work?
Well, I mean, the biggest pressure was the pressure that Patrick and I put on ourselves, simply because there's such a need for what Middle-earth can bring to our world. There's a real darkness in our world right now. There's a lot of people who are in a lot of pain. Political darkness, economic darkness, social darkness, just a lot of challenges. And Middle-earth speaks to people in their soul. It's one of the reasons why Tolkien's work has been, next to like the Bible, the Quran, and certain writings of Mao Zedong, Tolkien has been the most selling work of all time. And I think that's because no matter what country people come from, no matter what background they have, when people find Tolkien, it goes past all of those other things and finds them in their heart and in their soul. And so we felt like we needed to capture that special feeling of Tolkien. Because really the Second Age, the story I mentioned a moment ago, Tolkien sketched it out, but he didn't do it in a ton of detail in a lot of parts. So there's a lot of things where we had to very carefully excavate what he had shown us, but then also to continue to connect the dots and fill some of the gaps in where necessary. So we tried to do that in as Tolkienian a way as possible, to be able to bring that light and that feeling of Middle-earth. And I can say that one of my best moments so far was we showed some Tolkien superfans about 20 minutes of the show, and we were sort of flies on the wall sitting in the back of the auditorium, and I heard someone ask, well, what did you guys think of it? And one of them said, it just feels like Middle-earth. And I spontaneously broke into tears. And I was like, that's all I wanted to accomplish.
That is yeah, I think it's been so nice, knowing these things from you, but I really want to meet you.
Yeah, totally excited to bring it out, yeah. I've had an interview. We have Lloyd Owen, who plays Elendil. We have Sarah Zakobani, who plays Marigold Brandyfoot. And we have Charlie Edwards, who plays Helen Ridmore. And Megan Richards, who plays Poppy. Poppy Brown Fellow, I should say. And we have Tyrone Mohammedan, who plays Theo. And we have Emma Horvath, who plays Eogian. And Rob Aramayo, who plays Elrond Kennedy. I think that's it. Everyone, one more welcome for our entire Lord of the Rings cast.
Welcome to India, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good to have you guys here. And all the best.
Yeah, well, it's the second age, so he's much younger than the trilogy or anything like that. He's half elven, which is a sort of unique thing in the elven world. He's young, he's ambitious, serving his king, and yeah, curious about different cultures.
Was it fun?
Very fun.
Was it hard?
Very hard, yeah.
Then it was fun.
Lastly,
Yes.
and she's a healer. So what we've seen in the trailers, she's extremely powerful, yet she's nurturing. So from where do you draw the strength to play a character this magnanimous?
Thank you for the question. It's so good to be back in India. thank you for your warm welcome and hospitality. I love playing Broadway because she's so multifaceted. She's, as you said, a healer, a single mother to a rebellious teenage son played by Tyrone, in a forbidden romance with an elf Arondir who is tasked with watching over the Southlanders, okay, a Southlander, who historically her ancestors chose the wrong side. They chose evil over good, and she's trying very hard to redeem them. What I love about her is that she is very resilient and strong, as you said, as well as nurturing. And I was going to be a doctor before I started acting. I have a degree in biology, so that side of her, the healing side, resonates with me. But also her determination to redeem her people and to liberate them from the forces of evil of their past, the shackles of their past, really resonates with me as an activist, because I'm a long-time activist from my homeland, Iran, human rights activist. And women in Iran and in many places in the world are at the forefront of the move towards democracy, freedom, and human rights. And so that's where I drew inspiration.
On the wall.
Looks like it, yeah.
What was it like? What's the experience, man?
Well, I mean, kind of big for everyone because it's not every day you get to work on the Lord of the Rings, which is huge. But you know, thank you to JD for entrusting me with the role, given my inexperience, I guess you could say. But no, I think the whole cast has been really supportive, and you know, have really taken me under their wing, especially Naz. You know, I was very nervous and anxious. I came from working on sets with like 5 people as the crew to hundreds. And you know, it was very overwhelming, but you know, with J.A. and you know, Wayne and Charlotte and Naz, Ismail, Ian, everyone that I worked with just made me feel so comfortable and helped me do my job, which is ultimately the most important thing. And yeah, I went from Perth to Mumbai in front of all these beautiful people, and I'm here, and yeah, how's it going, everyone? Yeah, I'm truly blessed.
That's amazing, man. You almost look in character. I like it. I like the style.
It's a middle earth orange.
It's a middle earth orange.
Many other stories and themes in Tolkien and in our show, but ultimately the story of the Rings of Power is the one that brings more to a head. But that's what's so interesting about Tolkien. For such a major storyline, he gives Celebrimbor very little page space. He's mentioned briefly, and those contradict each other, those mentioned. So what our hunt, the showrunners, myself, the head of the department, the directors and the writers, is to find the hooks that Tolkien has given us, hang a few things on there, see how that goes, and then rummage around the wardrobe a little more, see what else one can find in there, a few more hooks, a few more bits and pieces, hang it all up and see how it looks. And it's also the first time that Celebrimbor has been featured in a live action adaptation of Tolkien's stories, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you all think about it.
Character, but I just didn't want to debauchery of the language. So I was like, okay, let me not get this all wrong, because everyone out there will want to come after me then. So definitely, you're playing a father, Isildur and Yarin, played by Maxim and Emma. So
really good to be back in India too. I've had a beautiful experience working in the past, so very happy to be back. Yes, Elendil, who is, as we see at the beginning of the series, he's a sea captain, very capable man, but he's been widowed and is trying to deal with his grieving adult children who are present here in Maxim and Emma, as you say. And he's a very well-known character in the legend. There are many fans of the movies will have seen him briefly. If you read the books, he's referred back to a lot. He's a sort of hero archetype. And he's very dear to a lot of the fans' hearts for that reason, because of his ultimate self-sacrifice at the end during the Alliance of Elves and Men, where he dies in the act of trying to defeat. In the modern world, we expect everything to be CGI now, but we built Numenor, we built the capital city of Numenor, and it took 6 months to build. And I remember the first day, Lord of the Rings, she read the Silver Ring, she watched the movies, and she said, she'd seen the first episode. She said she just burst into tears. And I took that as a really good sign that oftentimes when we read the books, our imagination is really powerful, but somehow this exceeded her expectations, or should I say enhanced her expectations of what Numenor was. So I was really, really pleased about it.
That's really amazing.
I know, it's a great voice, isn't it?
It's a little deeper after the heroine
Sailor on the cusp of adulthood when we first meet him, and there's an emptiness and a void in him, and I guess he doesn't really want to fit into societal expectations. He doesn't want to really be like his father in a way, but then there's a pressure to also so you kind of meet him deliberating and yearning for something else that potentially is not in Numenor, not on the island.
Nice. Emma, are you sure you want to say?
Absolutely.
Just checking.
I'll take that.
Please tell me.
It's awesome.
So-
I'm so happy to be here. I've never even been to Asia, so this is,
Wow.
continental and countrywide. Wow. Totally new.
And when did you come, if I may ask?
Sorry?
When did you reach here, if I may ask?
3 a.m. this morning.
And she looks so stunning. Right?
All of
Big
that.
round of applause because that absolute beauty. Am I playing out? But does this have any significance with, is it relevant in any way to the islands of Numenor, or is there any significance as to how that's a part of how you created the character?
Yes, and so it's very apt that she's named after the sea. Isildur means servant of the moon, and Anarion, the middle child, is a reference to the sun. So her siblings, their names reference sort of celestial and heavenly bodies, and her name was quite grounded, which is very apt because the schism that Lord was mentioning that's occurring on the island is also starting to take shape within the family. She's immensely proud of her people and the island and the beauty that they've created and the society that they've created. And she's quite frustrated with both of her brothers who have these sort of romantic ideas of the past and spend a lot of time sort of looking up, and she's very much looking down at the beauty that her people have created. So, yeah, I think her name is very appropriate.
Yes, you are. It wasn't working before. Yes, I do. I play half-foot.
Half-foot. What is a half-foot?
Half-foot, they're a migratory group. They're a community, and they have big feet and ears, and they have a lot of heart and joy, and stick together in the face of adversity, and they're constantly looking over their shoulders, but they're optimists as well, despite having to be survivors.
Is there anything specific that makes them special to you?
They are very much the yin to each other's yang. Poppy is sort of the more cautious out of the two of them, and I think it's safe to say Nori is the more adventurous of the two of them. So that already tells you quite a lot. But Poppy sticks by Nori's side throughout the series, and that is sort of like an ongoing theme, I think. But she does that because she finds it important. She has such a love and loyalty for her friend. And she finds it, Michael has already mentioned the community, and in the community you have a very specific set of rules. And they're very important in order to ensure everybody's safety, and Poppy really believes in those. And so the reason that she follows Nori is for protection. She believes that's the best way to protect everybody, community included. So they get up to a lot of adventure, and a lot of mischief. A lot of fun.
Sorry. Did you all know each other?
Yes, sir. But it was really nice because we got to sort of hang out and call it work.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That's nice.
Yes.
Wow, what was that like for you?
Well, it's amazing. I just suddenly realised there's 3 parents here with naughty children. Actually, that's a bit of a thing today. I haven't actually done interviews with the other parents here, so it's quite funny. As a fan of fantasy, it was obviously incredible, but I don't think you needed to be a fan of fantasy to realise that this is an absolute dream job. I mean, first of all, this incredible cast that I get to work with, and that I get to now travel around the world with and
come to an amazing country like India, where I haven't been before, is just a joy. So, lover of fantasy or not, it's been one of the best jobs of my career. Playing Marigold is also an absolute honour. Thank you to Jodie and Patrick. Being a parent to this beautiful actress here, Hrithik Tamanna, and a surrogate mum to Megan Richards, and having so much fun on set. The Harfoots, as Michaela was saying, you know, they've been through a lot, but they have a lot of joy and laughter and love, and that's what it was like being on set. We just had such an incredible time working together. And I'm quite stunned that I'm sitting here with them all now, able to talk about it to the world. It's just such a privilege.
Right. JD, to round this off, do you...
But they're close. Let's talk. I do people call my name. Well, I just wanted to reiterate what a special group of people you have in front of you right now. It's been my great joy to work with the beach over the course of several years now, and I live at the beach and have a dozen stories that pop into my mind for every single one of the people here. And you're just getting a small taste of it now, but each of them in some moment of the season will take your breath away. They truly have that special something that is part of Middle Earth is inside of them, that they've managed to capture these characters, and the world's going to discover it very soon. And also, a few last things I'd love to say is that I think many people are fans of Tolkien, but if you haven't ever experienced Tolkien before, if you've never even worn a ring before, and have no idea whether if you wandered off the street or if this is reaching someone who hasn't experienced Middle Earth, you don't need to know anything about Tolkien to enjoy this show. You can walk in off the street having never seen any of the movies, having never read any of the books, and the show will sweep you away and tell you all you need to know about Middle Earth, and then hopefully point you back to the books because they're really worth doing a deep dive on. They're the books that really stay with you and get inside of you in a very unique and special way. This is a time in the world when we need a little bit of Tolkien, we all need a little bit of Middle Earth. So we hope you're able to enjoy the show and feel that special thing that each of these people has been such a foundational part of bringing to life these years. So thank you very much for having us here. We really appreciate it.
I have to say this to JD, to the entire cast and crew, that this is something that I personally believe in, that cinema, in any language, anywhere in the world, the moment it is based on human emotions, basic human emotions, it always cuts through all. There's no language needed, there's no country needed, and I feel like that faith that I have in the cinema that I want to do has been reaffirmed by Rings of Power. So thank you all for coming here and being a part of this press conference. We're so
wasn't that